All right, first A Fleet race, Saturday, Corpus Christi, January 18th, 2025, I believe. Coming here in the glare, hard to see, but it looks like on the committee boat end out there was Mr. Barb Bratzer, I believe is leading the regatta in the 6'4", E12. Got Chris Macaluso in the yellow Britpop on his tail. Coming across the fleet on starboard.
I don't know where you are, but let's just be ready when Tony hails. Okay, let's go. 51's ready.
As everybody's coming up here. Got a north wind today. As all the bail, everybody sails upwind to the weather mark. $19 boats in these fleets, I believe. A Fleet, Bay Fleet, HMS, we're running. Got Mr. Mike Feldman on the inside here in the 1.5 boat. Out of Florida, Peter's father out here, family fair. Get more dads and kids sailing. There's Peter in the 4.4, Black Biz. Croatian model. Took a trip to Australia. Peter was the top U.S. finisher, I believe, in 2025 Worlds out of Australia. Darren Brenner tacking over the wall here to head up. Where? Whew. Need some better shade protection. Gary Bowl up there, Gary Boom Boom Bowl, 171. As everybody comes in low on starboard, not going to make the windward mark at that angle. I'm going to have to throw another tack in there. A few guys came to the inside on port tack, so they get the privilege of sailing through the fleet on a tack with no rights. And it looks like a blue boat made it around first. Not sure on the number. Oh, actually, Chris no. Tony Gonzalez in the Polaris. A modified snowmobile. Now, model sailing. As we come through, fleet gets a little shuffled, kerfluffled, and Tony Gonzalez, the yellow Polaris out front. You're gonna learn more about the Polaris, other than a jet ski from the 80s, the 90s, whenever they made those things. Mr. John Lushcombe, in the 03 boat, in second place. Steve Landau, the 1-2, third. Mark Gollison and the baby B-rig out there getting beat up on, but holding his own in fourth place. Barb Bratzer, 6'4", doing his turn for Gary. As Gary is in fifth place in the 171 Britpop.
Let's go. I didn't have any contact.
Let's see if we can zoom into the glare. I can try running and you guys can hear my heavy breathing. It's Tony Gonzalez, heads down. Looks like to the inside gate, 5-1. Followed by Mr. Lushcombe, the 03 boat. Steve elects to go outside, get a little height on folks. Steve not content with being a follower, trying to get out in the lead. Might be the move out there. Hard to see sail numbers with the glare. Maybe we'll catch them up on the way up. As everybody rounds inside, outside. Tony tacking back on to port. Same tack as Steve. Steve's way out there. There's 151, which I believe in first. Steve just tacked back onto starboard. There's a 03 boat. Let's watch where Steve and Tony cross. I believe that's Steve. Just a 1-2 boat. See if the outside paid. Tony still looks like he's hanging on to first. Steve lumbers through the chop. A little more bouncy on that starboard tack. Port tack seems a little smoother, more in phase with the bumps, lumpy bumps. 03 boat, Mr. Lushcombe, second place. Steve in third. Looks like Mark Gollison here in the 5-5. Gary Bowl, 7-1 on the way inside. Bar Bratzer going to cross right behind Gary. Way on the outside, who's been doing well this regatta. Mr. Sean Bradley out there in the 4-6 boat. Tacks in as we struggle to see the viewfinder. Need to make a little better shade. Maybe it's arts and crafts with Dan a little later. Tony Gonzalez tries to stay out front. 5-1 boat. Gary Bowl coming up the inside here. Tough getting to these windward marks, and this finish line is absolutely brutally small, and a lot of people going head to wind just trying to get across it. As Tony's on a starboard tack. Tony in the Polaris, 5-1 yellow boat. Looks, is he gonna make it? Tony's got eagle eye vision, just rounds that mark well, followed by John Lushcombe. Ooh, John has to throw a tack in. That's gonna give up some boat links to Tony and give some to Steve. So that all balances out. Oh, Steve has to throw a tack and he gives it back. Just gonna squeak around. That lets Baby B-Rig, Mark Gollison in the 5-5 boat sneak up. Everybody's throwing an extra little tack in right at the buoy. They don't want to do it, but it's really hard to judge the sight line up there. As we head back downwind for the second time. As Tony's still staying out front, clean air, easy sailing. Followed by Mr. Lushcombe and the carpool member, Steve Landau, the 1-2 boat. And Bar Bratzer was leading after day 1 and 2 out of Florida, the 6-4 boat. B12, Gary Bowl, Britpop, crowd favorite. Getting passed by Mr. Ramos in the 105 boat. Chesapeake Performance Models. I think I said his company name wrong yesterday, so there's your correction for the lawyers in the crowd. So head downwind, Mark Gollison still hanging in there at the B-Rig, 5-5 boat. And Mr. Mike Feldman in the play. Fleets are spread out today, a little longer course, I believe. A little longer. Let's zoom into these weather marks and see if Dan hold the camera still. As Tony goes the inside, John goes the inside, Steve sticking with the outside, never a follower, looking to catch a shift. Tony tacks back almost immediately. John continuing further in. I know you can't see that, but that's where the action is. There's John over there. As we head back upwind. Choppy at this end, but a little more pressure. We actually started this morning. We're a little further north where we were yesterday on this T-head. Those Google Earth folks. We're on the People Street T-head. There's 3 T-heads in a row. Corpus Christi's on the yacht club's on the first one. I forget. I think the second one is Knowledge. The third one is People Street. It's got a statue of Selena Gomez on it. So consider yourself cultured. Now, as John Lush come out in the middle, Tony Gonzalez, the 5-1 boat, and looky, look what happened. Where is he? Mr. Landau, delivering the 1-2 punch in the 1-2 boat. As the outside paid. Oh, wait, maybe I spoke too soon. But yeah, nope, Steve squeaks right up even with Tony.
Steve must be feeling nice for me today.
So yeah, Steve has to sit in the car with Tony for 4 hours, so 4 or 5 hours. We're gonna make sure everything's above board. As Tony and Steve do some match racing at the front. Got John Lushcombe going through attack there. Get a little lift on port. Other boys want to come in on starboard. It's Mr. Bar Bratzer in 4th potentially. And Gary Bowl back in 5th. Dave Ramos in 6th. Mike Feldman trying to promote to A Prime fleet if he's in the top 4 here. Is it a father-son duel? Is Dad gonna beat son? We'll have to watch that one. Let's see. We'll see. Fathers know. We spank our kids in all their sports for a while, and then they tend to kick our ass for the rest of the adulthood. But model sailing, great equalizer. It's got to have thumbs. I don't know what happened to Tony. Tony tack over early. Reaching up on port, got away from Steve. Steve in the 1-2. Tony giving some funny business. No, Mr. Lush come on starboard. Did Tony get there first? Tony coming on port. Oh boy, Tony's maybe sneaking back. Oh, Tony got it. Steve in 2nd. Looks like Mr. Bratzer in 3rd. These finish lines are rough up here. Comes Mr. Bowl in. Boy, have speed, be on starboard, and hope there's a lane, because if you get in the crowd, B Fleet race at the finish was mayhem. Yeah, they're all stuck up. I missed to see who beat father or son. Steve almost pulled out the trick. All right, Steve. Why'd you give it up? You just didn't want to hear it the whole trip back?
No, I was thinking I could save myself 2 tacks by going to the ley line, but it was way too far away to make that call.
Yep.
I should have covered. Good race. He earned it.
Yep.
I made him earn it.
Good job.
That should be the start. All clear. Start.
All right, second A fleet race of the day. Has the boats head to the weather mark. Mr. Galson on the committee boat end, tacks away early. The 5-5 boat. Sean Bradley right on his heels in the 4-6 boat.
97 tacks for water today.
As everybody comes close to the wall here.
Starboard! Starboard, guys.
Okay, 03, I'm going to need to give these guys room.
197, tacking for water. Coming at the cameraman.
Starboard, guys.
Things are getting close here at the wall.
Starboard 97, thank you.
I got Gary Bowl, the 171. Oh! Runs into Dave Ramos. Gary doing his penalty turn. Jeez, I thought they were going to run into my feet. I'm sitting on this little cement wall, feet hanging off. That's all I got to get called for interference. As Gary does his turn, unfortunately gets right spit out the back. And as we head up into the windward marks, we got Peter Feldman, the 4-4 Black Viz, Mark Galson, the Vickers 11.5, and the 5-5. As Mark and Peter tack onto port. Oh, they got a starboard boat there. Mark has to luff up a little bit. And looks like Don Lush comes out there in the 03. Making around. The marks are kind of far away. No, I really overstood them. John really overstood those. I guess if everybody's overstanding, it's a good thing. You don't lose anything. But we're all trying to keep every inch there. As Mark and Peter tack in right at the mark. And the skipper is keeping each other in line. It's 03, John Lushcombe out front, East Coaster. Followed by Sean Fiddler. Sean Fiddler, no hobby, too fun. Sean was telling us about, I don't know what he said, something karting, box karting. Basically little trikes on wheels with sails to race on. He's got a few in his garage for sale if you want them. The 9-1 boat. Tony Gonzalez in the Polaris. Not to be confused with the Prius.
Man with a dream.
That's boy with a dream, Larry.
Oh, I'm a man.
That's Larry making model sailing great again. Grant. And the 8-5 boat, look at him, trying to promote to A prime in the top 4. Got Chris Macaluso up there. Team Britpop 197. Late entry, last to enter. Drove here from Tomball. Here he is in A fleet. So thanks for showing up, Chris. So, quick reposition. Hold the camera steady, Dan. The boys head into the leeward gate. Leeward gate. John Lush coming first. Tony Gonzalez in second. Tony rounds a little tighter. Manages to squeak above John. Death by 10,000 cuts. John's boat's moving fast. Oh no, Tony went to the outside. Who's that? Sean Fiddler on the inside in the orange. Orange Painte, I believe. And the 9-1. Tony and Chris Barbratzer to the outside, followed by Ulf, the only 3D printed Goliath. So Tony gave me a little tutelage. Tony's always teaching Tony, the tutor. Says the Polaris is the fiberglass version of the Alioth. So if you want the 3D printed one, it's the Alioth. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. If you want the fiberglass version, it is called the Polaris. So that's Chris going on the outside, 197. John Lushcombe trying to cover the fleet. The 03 boat, 03. Got Sean Fiddler right in his hip in the 9-1. Followed by Larry Grant in the 8-5 boat. Larry out of LA. His boat did not burn to the ground, so he's here in Texas. Tony Gonzalez in the 5-1. And we got, who do we got? We got Ulf, 112, 174. Is that Scott Graff maybe? 64, Barbratzer, Mr. Mike Feldman. Trying to show his son what's up here on different sides of the course. Mike might be a little ahead of Peter on this one. So Mike's sailing well this outing. As we head back upwind. Scott Bradley, a little slower today, Scott. You were really in the mix yesterday. But always seem to be at the front. Gary Bull still on Mr. Ramos's tail after he hit him earlier. Tried to duck, didn't happen. That's Gary, 2020 Boom Boom Bull. Let's see Duck's few starboard boats out there again. As we head up the middle. It's like John and Sean show, rounded first. John the 03, Sean the 91. Tony Gonzalez, the yellow Polaris. 5-1. Heading to the offset. Chris Macaluso, keeping the Britpot dream alive. And what does that make him in fourth? As they sail through some starboard tackers. Larry Grant in the 8-5 boat. As we head downwind, let's check in on our leaders. There they are. Sean with the Wonder Puff. Doesn't matter, you can lead the whole race. You got to get across the finish line first. So Sean just grinding John down. Grinding. Just giving him the punishment. John finally cracks. Sean squeaking ahead. Tony Gonzalez, Tony the tutor, out there, the 5-1, followed by Chris Macaluso. Chris getting pumped up, listening to a little Rush this morning. All these children of the 80s, loving life out here. Barbratzer in the 7-4 boat, 112, 3D printing for the win. Ulf in the Alioth. Larry's sailing to the start line instead of the green buoys. Green buoys, Larry. Larry's defending the inside. Really defending the inside. It looks like Sean and John rounded the inside mark. Chris, never a follower. Macaluso, taking a page out of Steve Landau's book. Got to do something different. So he goes outside. Chris likes that motto. All or nothing. He's all in. Playing the left. Who else went out there? Mr. Ramos? No, that's 174 boat. I think. Scott Graff. I'll check my cheat sheet. Sean Bradley See, I spoke ill of him, and now he's proved me wrong, turned me into a liar. Look at him chasing Chris on the outside. Majority of the fleet came to the inside. That was Tony Gonzalez trying to chip away at Mr. Fiddler. Use that. Boats get pretty close to my camera position here. Had to give up my running game. Bad knees, Achilles heel, overweight, no stamina. So I sit here and film now for your viewing pleasure. Sean just wore John down. Just wore him down.
You are hired.
Sean says, "Follow me, John. I'll show you the way." But John does have a little height, a little bit of height. Sean's gonna have to throw tack. He will be on starboard on our diabolical finish line. We got Tony Gonzalez in third, Barb Bratzer in fourth. Looks like Ulf in fifth. Maybe Chris, flyer didn't pay. Long slog back in the wind. Back to our leaders. Chris on the starboard. Not Chris, Sean. Sean Fiddler in the 9-1 boat. Levente. Sean has an IOM for every occasion. As he keeps covering John. John on starboard. Sean, a little slow tack there, Sean, though. A little slow tack, but John looks a little low. Sean looks in good position to get across that start line first. Even on starboard, clean living, Sean Fiddler. And first, looks like John Lushcombe in second. Tony Gonzalez in third. Chris the Flyer Macaluso, is he hanging on to fourth? Ulf gonna show him some starboard love. Chris trying to get up there, trying to get powered up quick. Oh, Barb Bratzer in there. I missed Barb. Barb snuck up the inside on port. 197, Chris. Chris correcting the scores real time. Oh, looks like, oh boy.
Couldn't keep you downwind, Sean.
Yeah, after the regatta, since you're my tough competitor, I will give you a tip.
Okay.
4-3 break, 4-6 break.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 1.
Going A fleet start. Things are a little bumpy. Peter and Steve opt for down the line a little bit. Tony Gonzalez in the 5-1, and Chris get the canoe boat in. Slogging around on starboard as they run through the boat wakes here. Big boat wakes. As the wall riders coming in here. Sean Bradley in the 4-6 boat. Ulf in the 1-2. As we come off the wall. Got Peter 4-4 boat on the inside. Dave Ramos in the 105 tacking with him. Lots of starboard boats gonna punish. But, oh boy, Peter and Dave make their way through. A good sail in there. Two of the top guys in the fleet. Expect nothing less. One thing this Peter Feldman really has, just a spatial awareness of his boat. He can round the mark so tight, maneuver close to others, and never, very, very rarely commits any fouls. So that's why he's one of the top dogs around here. Get my reading glasses on so I can see my teeny tiny screen unprepared. Wear them down on my nose like a granny. Zoom in this diabolical windward mark and remind myself to hold the camera steady. And handheld clinic here. Starboard boats, staying on starboard. Looks like Tony and Chris, who ran that committee boat in, made it first. Followed by Mr. Fiddler in the 91 boat. Sean in Michigan competes. Big sailboats. We got the history of the scow the other night. Put a beer in Sean and you get the history of the scow. So that'll be available on his podcast soon. Sean also competes full-size gliders, got lots of airplanes. Never saw a hobby he didn't like, so that's a lot of our fleet is made up as the Sean rockets into the front of Tony and Chris. So we head downwind.
I'll deal with you at the end.
Followed by Barb Bratzer in the 6'4" boat and Peter Feldman in the 4'4" Viz. Dark helmet. Viz, new boat out of Croatia. One Worlds, you know, it's all about the boat. You buy the fastest boat, you win. Not at all. It's all about the sailing. Once you learn how to set the boats up, you guys are master technicians, strategists, know which side of the course to go to. Cream rising to the top usually. So we head downwind. Tony defending the inside of the inside. That's a double inside. That's inside squared. Nobody's getting inside Tony. Oh, but they round in front of him. I don't know. Interesting. Wonder, sure who got in the circle first. But they did what they did. Looks like Mr. Bratzer going to the outside. You see green. Probably 6'4" boat out there. So we got a group. Gosh darn it, Dan. Learn how to hold the camera. Looks like Chris on the outside. Chris has been playing the outside quite a bit. He's A-Fleet races. There's a bunch of guys coming up the seawall here. A little interesting angle. Chris Macaluso in the 197 because my tongue gets tied around my teeth. Tony Gonzalez in the 5'1". Dave Ramos, Chesapeake Performance Models, CPM. I got to get the name right. He's going to have his lawyers call me. Supporting our hobby, our industry, our sport. Tough business to be in, so we appreciate Dave for what he does. The 197 boat out on the front. Here's Barr back from his sightseeing expedition to the jetty.
Easily.
There's Gary 2020 Bowl out there directing traffic. As we head upwind. Barr and Sean doing their thing. Doing the dance, letting Tony run away as we tack up this shoreline over here. Always good to cross the fleet on port. Said no one ever. But you got to do what you got to do when you're racing. Lots of action out here today. Great course. Good job by the race committee getting things dialed in for us. Big starting line. Got big fleets. Need lots of length out there. Boat to boat and a half length for every boat. So if you have 19, that should be 19, 20 meters, 30 meters long at least. That's Tony Gonzalez in the Polaris. The fiberglass version of the Alioth out there. Tony always sailing an obscure boat that nobody else is. He's done well at the Polaris. Sailing a Mirage Yachts, Jeff Byerly Fat Boy for a while. He was sailing his Chines for a while, another Jeff Byerly design. Now Tony's on to the Polaris. Tony in the 5-1 boat out front. Chris Macaluso, 197 Britpop, out of Tomball, Texas. Barb Bratzer, I believe a V12. And downwind, Peter Feldman, the 4-4. Mr. Fiddler, where were you? He was in the lead, now he's not. But never count Sean out. Let's Sean grind him down, Fiddler. Put the pressure on his buddy from Michigan, Peter. As the boys walk up and down. Who else do we have? We got some more usual suspects. Mr. Ramos sails a lot of boats, J boats, CR 914s, IOMs, builder, restorer, does it all. Steve Landau in the 1-2, giving a punch to Ramos there as he rockets past him on a downwind, followed by Mr. John Lushcombe, who must have said, you know what, I can find a little more speed out of my boat, and he was in first place, and he did a little tweak, and now he's in 8th. So sometimes we always think the boat's got more to give, but other times it's got no more to give. As the chines change, guys liking this inside. As Tony Gonzalez in the 5-1 boat. Tale of Two Cities, Chris Macaluso out here. 197, opposite sides of the course. Let's see where they cross. Mr. Barb Bratzer in 6-4 and making his charge up the middle. Peter Feldman, 4-4 boat. Gary Bowl there on the outside in the 171, tacking back in, following Peter's footsteps. Chris, man after my own heart, on the sightseeing journey. 157, that's much for Tony. And Chris crossed. Tony was ahead anyways. Looks like he's going to easily cross Chris, but you never know. Never know. Peter's going to show a little starboard love to Sean. Sean tacks underneath him. As the guys work this inside. Coming up. So I move my camera. He yells at me for panning too fast. Peter and Sean. Watch how quickly Sean tacks. Very smooth. Doesn't want his sailing buddy to run away from him. So they head upwind. Chris still making his charge on port. These guys tack up the inside.
Starboard 27. Oh, come on. Starboard 55.
Alright, lots of tacking here on the shore. Mark Gallison tacks away. Followed by Sean Bradley. Chris taking that big scenic Scenic Journey might have made some grounds. Really, ooh, coming in a little low, only a little higher. As Tony comes in first. Oh, that's a rough one. Chris really just made it. Nice sailing, Chris. Good race. Peter Feldman across the line. Steve Landau. John Lushcombe. Dave Ramos. Where's our crowd fail? Where's Boom Boom 2020 Bowl? There he is. Tough race there for Gary. Finishes in front of Mr. Galson. Has to attack for Skip. Trying to keep the boats moving as they just pinch into the line. Tough finishes here, especially if you get slow and stalled.
That's the key.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Guys spread out all over the line here. Another A Fleet race on Saturday. 30 seconds to go. Many boats coming down here to the pin end. We got Gary Bowl down here. Orange boat. I can't see numbers because the way they're luffing. 15 to go. We got Peter right in the middle of the line.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the start.
All right, we got Will Van Cleef, Gary Bowl, 174. Is that one of the Scots? Scott Graff, Steve Landau, attacking. And Mark Galson there, tacked on him. Gary. Riding lift up here on port as the wind shift. These guys are really good at knowing where to start on the line. Got Larry Grant, 8.5, making model sailing great again out front. Gary Bowl, the 171, right below Skip, 78. Skip on Team Polaris, I believe. A lot of these guys never saw a new boat they didn't like, so they buy it. Just a picture perfect day here in Corpus Christi. A lot of big boats coming out.
Keep getting lifted. I need a wind shot. Stand by.
As this A Fleet race got Ulf, the blue and yellow Alioth from Sweden, 112. Got Will Van Cleef just promoted up on his leaky boat. The 7.6 right on his tail. Mark Galson and the 5.5. Gary Bowl, 171. Knew what he was doing, starting on this short end of the line. Gary squeaks around the windward mark. Nice job, Gary. 2020. Boom Boom Bowl. He's taking his anger and just shoving it into that boat, rocketing him to the beginning of the fleet. That's Skip Miller in the 7.8 Polaris boat, followed by Tony Gonzalez in the 5.1. Will Van Cleef in the 7.6. Takes the water out of his boat, it goes faster. But Dave Ramos hot on his tail in the 105 boat. Peter burying the nose and just can't get out. That Viz is just submarining. The Viz is the fastest boat underwater. There's Sean Fiddler willing the Italians to work harder on his boat. Those are just close to broaching. That little puff that came through. Wiggle that rudder. You see it coming. Get a little drag going. Let's see. Looks like Mr. Bowl. First the windward, first the leeward. Sure is going to come to this inside again. Gary turning on a dime and that Brit pop. Going to give you a little more eyeballs. As Gary heads back upwind. Good lead over second, Gary Bowl. Looks like Dave Ramos in the 105 boat. PT 105. Is in there. So Gary stalls a little, gets it going again. They head back upwind the second time. It's like Peter Feldman in the submarine out on the outside in the black 4-4 boat. Tacking back in as Gary just says, follow me boys, I'm gonna cover the whole fleet. So I got an axe to grind and I need to win some races. Although Gary going slow, tucks back onto port because he sees Mr. Ramos rocketing up the middle on port. Great day for photos. Looks like neck and neck for Gary and Dave here. Dave Ramos in the 105. Britpop, I believe. Britpop versus Britpop. Coming alive here in the stronger winds. As we head upwind. Third, looks like Mr. John Lushcombe out there. Peter Feldman, 4-4. Skip Miller. Sean Fiddler rounds out the top 6. As the race committee obsesses on wind angles, sailors say we just sail them. These guys are managing this thing down to the degree. Got their protractors out, crazy wind instruments. Gary Bowl, 171 in first. Dave Ramos, 105 right behind him. Skip Miller, 78 baby blue Polaris surfboard maker out of Florida. I think his company is called Line Drive. So if you need a surfboard, talk to Skip. If you want to take up surfing in your 70s, he'll get you set up. Tony Gonzalez, 5-1 boat. Peter Feldman, 4-4, both tack on to port. Figure the shortest distance to the buoy is a straight line. As Gary clean living bold. Look at him coming into a windward mark on starboard. Think of the etiquette there. When you're out front, you can do whatever you want though. Gary coming in port, starboard. Dave Ramos is not letting Gary run away with this, so he's one slip up away from first place. Or the first loser, as the negative folks like to say. Skip Miller around to the wooden mark in third. Got Will Van Cleef doing his best to come in on port. Dives down, ducks up. It's always miserable, so close, but yet so far. Most starboard boats come along.
I hope you got that on the video. Brit.
I got you, Gary.
Thank you.
Live sending it to Brad right now. All right, Britpops out front. Britpops are king again. Gary Bowl in the 171. Dave Ramos, the 105. Guys are looking for their sponsorships to get renewed here in the lucrative world of model sailing. Skip Miller, a distant third, and 6'8", looking to close that gap. But in the biking terms, he's in no man's land. He's got nobody to draft. His buddies just dropped him, followed by Tony Gonzalez in the 5'1", Peter Feldman in the 4'4". Oh, Peter doing the submarine thing again. Ooh, that Viz likes to...
He does not like the boat.
Likes to vary the bow. Maybe there's a black Viz for sale after the regatta. But, let's see, got Gary Bowl looking to run this thing from wire to wire. Does he want to come through the fleet on starboard? Gary opts for the low risk approach. Let's stack away from the entire fleet. So me and Mr. Ramos can duke it out. As it's like Skip Miller, Tony Gonzalez, Peter Fell. No, everybody go on the inside. Who's breaking? Who's going to break the mold? Bar Bratzer on the outside, of course. Bar says I was in first after day 2. I'm tired of getting my butt kicked today. I'm going to see if I can find some magic on the outside. Plenty of power here today. Not like Pacific Northwest where I'm from, where you're looking for smooth water and every ounce. But boats are moving well, consistent breeze, nothing like our first 2 days doldrums. Gary Bowl, a Cinderella story out of somewhere Idaho. Sun Valley, isn't that it? Sun Valley?
Somewhere Idaho.
Somewhere Idaho. Gary Bowl, sailing mecca in the mountains. Thin air makes him a fast sailor. So, but Dave Ramos, East Coast, I might have something to say about it. Tony issuing a little starboard love to Skip Miller. Team Polaris not playing nice with each other today, folks. Not playing nice with each other. Have a talk with the sponsors after this. Who we got? We got Will Waterlogged Van Cleef in the 76 boat. 174, I believe, is Scott Graff. That's Scott. Oh, here's a little break in the action here. Dave Ramos diving down, Gary on starboard. Looks like they're both going to have to throw some tacks in. But this teeny tiny finish line makes it tough on folks. As Gary's going to issue a little starboard love to Dave. Dave has nothing to do with it. Gary tacks on top of him on port. Looks like Gary's going to get there first, but not by much. Not by much. Gary shoots the line and gets it. Dave Ramos in second. Tony the tutor taught Skip a lesson in port starboard. He's going to get third, much to Team Polaris's chagrin. Could have had 2 boats on the podium, but no friends in sailing. Skip Miller in fourth. Mr. Will Van Cleef looks like he's holding on to fifth. 174. Sean Fiddler 91. Dan, get the teeny tiny start line in there.
4-4 break.
So tough going today here at the IOM Nationals, but
8-8 break.
everybody's hanging in there pretty good.
1-2 break.
1-2, Steve Landau.
1-1-3 break.
1-1-3, that's Paul Todd.
0-3 break. 5-5 break.
Mr. Galson. And we're off. Another A Fleet brought to you by I'm Stuck in B Fleet Productions. Looks like quite a few people started at the far end of the line down here at pin end. Peter Feldman being one of them. Steve Landau, tax early on the port, heading upwind. Getting the jump on everybody. I think Steve might be. Steve might have the tricky formula on this one.
That mess.
As the boys tack off the wall here. Got 4-6 boat. Sean Bradley, 112. Ulf coming right at me. Don't hit my feet, Ulf. Don't hit my feet. As everybody sails upwind, Steve way on the outside, but he'll be coming in on starboard. A lot of these other folks seeing the 1-2 tack angle coming in here. There's Gary Boom Boom Britpop 2020 Bowl out there. Won the last race handily. Living large. Got Mark Galson splitting to the inside in the 5.5. Mark always seems to find a different path than everybody else. As I'm assuming that's Mr. Bar Bratzer that tacked underneath him. Can't see sail number. It's probably a 6-4. As we head in the windward part, lots of starboard boats, lots of port boats. Peter Feldman gets there first, and he was on this pin end of the line, I think they call it. So bears the bows, carnage. Carnage, unfortunately. Their bowl tapping the buoy as the leaders run downwind. Clean air. Peter Feldman out front. 44. Dave Ramos was second last place, second in this race. The 105 boat. Looks like Mr. Tony. Thinking that's Tony Gonzalez. 51 Polaris. Followed by Chris Macaluso, 197. Dennis Rogers and a Britpop, 43. Sean Bradley, 46. Bar Bratzer in 64. Doing well this weekend. We'll see how things shake out at the end of the day. Check back in. Peter must have found his magic because Peter is usually up front. Maybe a little tweak to the boat. Maybe a sacrifice to the sailing gods.
No virgins left. Well done.
Yep. As Peter goes to the inside first. Hot on his heel, Mr. Ramos. And the 105 boat right behind him. Tony was there somewhere. Tony's going the outside. Tony says, I'm not a follower, I'm a leader. Tony goes outside. Bounce, bounce, bouncing away. Feels good out there, sailing high and fast, but he tacks back in. Show his competitor some starboard love like he did to Skip in the last race. No, 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 Mr. Miller. Get behind me. Peter's virgin sacrifice paid off. As he sails a straight line everywhere on the course. Mr. Ramos hot on his heels. The Viz versus the Britpop. What is that? 2025 versus 2016? When the Britpop come out, Larry?
I have no clue.
Come on, you're supposed to be my color historian. Jeez,
You're in trouble, man.
you are worthless.
You're in trouble if you're
Let's,
counting on me.
I pay you good money to fill the voids between my ums and ahs. What happened to Mr. Landau? Mr. Steve is running sweeper, making sure no man's left behind. Well, it looks like Peter and Dave have checked out, unless they have a seizure. They should be first and second in some order. Got Tony Eagle Eyes Gonzalez, the teacher, the tutor out there. In third place, Chris Macaluso, late entry out of Tomball, Texas. The Big Bird tape. Flying high. Chris, the ever always multitasking, getting the story straight, sailing, running the regatta, making it all happen. It's kind of a leisurely sail here. Where's all the action? Let's take a look at the wall here. Dennis Rogers, tack out, deck behind bar. Sean Bradley said, I'm out of here first. I'm heading to that red buoy. There's Peter Feldman, looking like he's going wire to wire on this one. Dave Ramos right behind him. Third place. Did Chris get the best of Tony? Got Tony. Crossed in front of Tony. Battle of the Yellow Boats. Chris got an extra number. That's slowing him down. The 197 versus 51. Less numbers is always faster, says Larry Grant. Can't carry all that weight. Chris says, I don't care. I'm racing. Got Mark Gollison coming up the inside with Skip on top of him. We'll synchronize tacking. Let's cross the fleet on port because it's always fun time. Those upwind downwind crossings are tricky. Got to keep the tacks in your head. Who's on what tack? Windward leeward, and the gaps are closing fast. Who else? Let's see. We've got 3 pairs of racers. Got Peter and Dave. First pair. It's called Buddy Racing. We got the second pair. We got Tony and Chris. And we got the third pair, which is Bar and Sean. This is 2x2. What is this, Noah's Ark? The 88 boat and Baron Bremer out there. The 8's got it teaming up. Got Scott Graff and Dennis Rogers. Gary Boom Boom Britpop Bowles. Won the last race handily. Pride of the Britpop Empire. Now shuffle back to mid-fleet. Gary's not going to be happy with that. And he'll tell me so. Well, Chris and Peter and Dave are still doing their thing. Synchronized sailing. New Olympic sport. They are scored on how consistent they can keep the gap between the two boats.
It's like drifting.
And I think Peter has read my book on sailing called The Top 3 Rules of Sailing is cover, cover, and cover. And Peter's covering Dave. Although Dave seems to be closing the gap a little bit. What say you, Larry?
Maybe a little.
A little tiny bit. We'll see. Synchronized sailing.
No worries, dude. I get it. You gotta do what you gotta do. I gotta try.
Yeah,
At the
see?
same time, I don't want to get Tony catch us.
Peter did.
Oh, he's way back. You guys are safe.
Peter did read my book.
I'll settle for second. I gotta work you a little bit here.
So, that's
Tony passed Chris.
jovial 1 and 2. Oh, Tony, the teacher, in definitive 3rd place now. Tony's back there. He's teaching Chris something now.
Took the other way too. I didn't want to bike you on it either. He asked me which one I wanted.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Chris in 4th.
Oh, it's good.
Got Sean in 5th. Barr in 6th. Baron Bremer, the 8-1 boat, in 7th. Who's 88, Larry?
Bill.
Bill. Big tall Bill from Florida, or East Coast somewhere.
Yeah, Florida.
Florida. We'll call him Big Tall Bill because we don't. Oh,
About the bearded wonder.
I don't know. Is it Mike Benz or Bill Benz?
Yeah.
There you go. All right, we got it. We got it all sorted out. Battle of dementia here between me and Larry. We're seeing who's going to hang on to our marbles first.
Oh, I lost mine years ago.
As Peter makes it across the line first. Dave, follow me. Ramos in 2nd. Little battle here for Tony and Chris.
Who's going to get fifth?
Tony,
Is Barr going to get it? Yep, Barr's got it.
Tony's got it. Larry's looking back there. So Barr crossing Sean. Cover Sean. Sean Bradley, not to be confused with Sean Fiddler, who I think pulled out early.
Good job, Peter.
There goes Tony across, followed by
Here at the top.
Chris Macaluso. Bar Bratzer coming in, Sean Bradley. There's Dennis Rogers out of San Diego. Younger brother John won the DF95 Travelers event down there. There's Gary Boom Boom Bowles coming in hot. Tacks away, Mark Allison. Off to B Fleet, be with my people. 30 seconds to go, this A Fleet race. Everybody up on that committee boat end. Get off the line here, Mr. Barbratzer, Mark Carlson, Sean Fiddler, Tony Gonzalez, and Chris Macaluso, and Dave Ramos all in the mix there, and Ulf. Ulf's kind of like Madonna, 112 boat. It's got one name.
2788, call for water.
Red, dude.
174 needs to tack the road.
Looks like our buoy's on the loose. Let's see what happens here.
Plenty of room.
All right. $20 seconds to go here.
Nope, no, that was 25. Excuse me. So 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Recall 44. Oh, recall 44. He was over early. Individual recall on 44. Everybody else clear?
All right. My unintended commentator over there. As we get started on another A Fleet race, Peter Feldman over early in the 4-4 boat. Then leans on Bar a little bit, says, Bar, can you let me go back and start? And Bar says, yeah, I guess I'll let you go back, Peter. And then Peter goes back.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And then
Starboard. 5-1 needs water. 171. Thank you.
as everybody tacks off the wall here.
Starboard.
I'm flabbergasted. Speechless. So Jim Sears tacks, get out of there. Oh. Scott Groff and Mark getting a little kerfluffle. People need contact, but they keep racing on. Who am I to judge? As we head up to the windward mark, buoy's gone wild. Red took off on its own. Looks like Dave Ramos' first boat onto starboard over there, heading in. He's got line up a bunch of. Oh, Dave was a little low. This is where things get ugly. As Tony and Barr, looks like they make it around there first. Head back downwind. Barr Bratz are in the 64 boat. Tony Gonzalez, the yellow 5-1. I think it's Scott Graff, 174. As we head downwind for the first time, beautiful Corpus Christi, Texas. Gary Boom Boom Bowl in the Britpop, 171. Right there with Barr, trying to chase down Tony. Saying, Tony, eat some dirty air, slow that Polaris down. There. Gary jobs around, trying to get on the favorable tack. As they port tack downwind here, Mark squirts inside. Gets wing on wing so they can come up quickly into the leeward gates, those two green balls out there. Not to be mentioned, two blue balls. We'll not have any of that out of Sunday school talk here. Because the fleet's all pretty close on this A Fleet race. As we head downwind, still heading downwind. Let's see if I can get my super duper vision going here. As we start splitting things up, lure gate's always fun, gives guys decisions, splits up the fleet, makes it a little more exciting. Looks like Sean Fiddler leading the parade on the outside in the 9-1 boat. I'm gonna guess that's him because of the color. Maybe Dave Ramos in the 105 out there. Peter Feldman, even though we're over early, slow return to line as clawing his way back. The 4-4 Black Viz. I'm guessing that's Tony Gonzalez in the yellow 151. You're going way outside. What do we got in the inside here? Mr. Bar Bratzer. Oh, that's Chris Macaluso, yellow boat on the outside. Peter opts for a little more height before coming in. Peter tacks again. Oh, nice tacked on that shift, getting on the port tack. Just trying to make his way upwind faster than everybody else. Peter's throwing a lot of tacks in there, but he's pretty quick and he's fishing at them. Got Tony Gonzalez here in the 5-1 boat, Bar Bratzer in the 6-4 boat. There's Mr. Fiddler, came from the other side. Sean on starboard. Gary says, I'm going to wax your transom as I come on by.
Gonna try to cross here, Bill. Okay.
Keep walking into the...
We got Mark Galson here in the 5-5 boat. Coming in hot, trying to find the energy here later in the day. Watch Mark tack here. Super efficient, little ease, get up to speed, boom, back to close haul. Faster than the rest as we head up to the red buoys. That Sean giving Mark the business, maybe? No, that wasn't Sean. That was Mr. Will Van Cleef, the other orange boat. To keep my orange boat straight. But it looks like Mr. Bar Bratzer finding his way back to the front. He had the Magic yesterday. Maybe he's found the Magic back as he rounds in first. Tony Gonzalez in second. Gary Boom Boom 2020 Bulls in third of the Britpop Nation. Sean and Dave going hand in hand around the offset. That's the 9-1 and the 105 boat. And there's Peter Feldman, even though last place start, he's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place. Never count Peter out. I think I say that on every video. I'm going to work on some new material. Now his Bar in the 46 boat. Heads on down. Says I'm taking that trophy back to Florida. We got Tony at the 5-1 boat. And we got Sean, Dave Ramos, Gary, Peter all in line with each other. Chris Macaluso has also found the Magic today in the 197. Trying to decide whether he sails tomorrow or he plays football. I guess it depends where you're at on the leaderboard. Whether you watch football or you sail. Chris races, charges up on 80s Rock in his car, then gets back on the water. Does some more racing. As we head down the leeward gate. Looks like Bar's going on the outside. Tony says, I'm going inside. Peter's worked his way back in the Viz, the mighty Viz. On the inside as we come up, I think the last leg to the finish here. As Sean Fiddler in the 9-1 on the outside. Tax cover. Sean, a great tactic. What do you call that? Tactician. Great with strategy. Really quick mind on the water. Knows the rules. Knows where he's at all the time. Can really make stuff happen. Got Gary Bull on his hip. There's Peter crossing. Peter's hitting some shifts that nobody else is seeing. As I drift into La La Land, got Mr. Barb Bratzer over here in the 64. Tony Gonzalez in the 5-1. Dave Ramos 105. Which orange boat is this? I'm guessing Mr. Fiddler, the 91 boat, tacking off the wall here, keeping it running. There's Gary Bull in the 171, presenting the mighty Britpop, trying to get some lift up to the finish line. As the boat out there is going to call the line and radio men. Got a lot of coordination happening here today. Peter, what a race he had here, over early. Couldn't get back quick to restart, but restart here has worked his way into the top 5 for sure, if not maybe second. Bar found the magic. The 6-4 boat, tacking on the starboard, and to thread the needle between the finish line there. Looks like Bar in first. Mr. Ramos in second. Tony Gonzalez, Sean Fiddler in fourth. Gonna bump up to the A prime fleet. And what a comeback by Peter Feldman. Nice racing, Peter. And Gary right behind him, the 171. Baron Bremer in the 81. I think another Polaris. Tony might be in the other team Polaris. Chris Macaluso, the 197. Ulf in the 12. Mark Gallison. As the rest. Great comeback, Peter.
Thank you.
General recall.
15.
General recall.
And that's another.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All clear.
All right, third starts the Charm, called the U flag. So if you're over in a minute, you're out. DSQ. Boat spread all over the line. Not sure where guys think the advantage is today. Mark was in the middle. Mark's always kind of a middle guy. Peter up on the mini boat end. Barry Donaher, Tony Gonzalez. And down here we got Gary Bull, Chris Macaluso, Steve Landau, Dennis Rogers.
7, starboard. Then for attack A.
Yeah, let's get the action shots here, close to backing off the bulkhead here. As Jim Sears hot on the heels of Peter Feldman in the 4-4 boat.
Peter, I'm gonna go.
Boy with a dream in the borrowed bot boat. Borrowed blue bot boat. Tacks on the starboard. Gonna be coming in hot on port for the windward gate. Windward gate. Windward mark. Dan, you're losing your mind. As the wind softening a little, the bumps softening a little maybe. Got Steve Landau in the 1-2 boat out front. We got the boom boom machine driving behind me. Running the wire wheels. Play it loud so they can all hear it. When you get old, you got to turn your stereo down so you don't crash into things. But when you're young, you can play it loud. But back to the race. Steve 1-2 punch Landau out in front of the carpool buddy, Tony Gonzalez in the 5-1 boat, followed by Barb Bratzer. This looks like a replay of Friday. These guys were all up front. Bar in the 6-4. Tony and Steve. Steve in the 1-2 boat. 20. Tony in a Polaris. 67. Who's 67? I'm not sure. I'd look at my cheat sheet. Bar Bratzer in the 64. So 67 will be the sailor with no name. Till it can be confirmed by the fact checkers. Got Jim Sears, Dr. Jim, boy with a borrowed blue boat, mixing it up with his fellow Southern Californian, Mr. Mark Gallison in the 5-5 boat. As they run downwind together, they always want the boats to run faster. Jim gets a little puff, gains a little advantage there, up into maybe third. Steve out front, Tony on his tail, Jim the blue 74, Bar in the green 64, Mark Gallison in the 5-5, Gary Bowl with a puff on the inside. Clean living Gary, 2020. As Boom Boom Bowl heads down to the mark, make stuff and happen. Got Dennis Rogers there in the 4-3 boat. Sean Bradley in the 4-6. Ulf Lindberg, the 1-1-2. Trying to give Gary a little push, a little NASCAR bump so they can both go faster together. Not sure drafting works in sailboats, but I'm sure guys are willing to give it a try. As we head to the leeward gates, Steve rounds the inside, Tony the outside, Mark with those orange draft stripes. I can pick him out a mile away. Goes the outside, but immediately tacks back in. I think he likes that angle, coming back towards the marks. I think that's what these guys are really good at, figuring out what tack to sail on and for how long. The guys like me who just sail from one side of the course to the other and always wonders why they're dead last. Well, hey, you sail the most distance, you don't win. Shortest distance, fastest amount of time usually wins. Oh no, got a little note that says change your battery, so hopefully we get through this race. So I'm gonna have another battery on me. As we head upwind, let's check in on Tony. Oh no, flashing red battery of death. We might lose it here. That's Tony. 5-1 heads up. Steve Landau heads up the inside for the second trip up. The battery goes dead, I will run quick as a bunny, get my other battery, put it in. We'll have a small gap in the coverage. Steve Landau on the 1-2 boat, tacks to cover the fleet. Mr. Barb Bratzer on his hip, the 6-4 boat. All right, quick jaunt back to my car. When I left you, Steve Landau was heading upwind into the windward marks. When I rejoined you after the walk to the car, saunter to the car, Steve Landau still in first place. Here, boom, boom, Gary Bull, directed traffic. Steve Landau still up front, followed by 6'4" Bar Bratzer, and Tony Gonzalez in third. And there he is, boy with a dream, Jimmy Shears in a borrowed bought blue boat as he heads downwind. Fourth place, probably the best finish for Jim this weekend. Jim's got to be happy with that in his Sedici. But Jim's kind of a new IOM sailor, but very accomplished 95 sailor. I think he did well. I think he might have won 65 nationals. First time really competing with the boat. But he's doing well as they all head into the Lord Gate. Top four looks like it's a four-con conclusion. This is a big gap to fifth. Baron Bremer in the 8-1 boat, Polaris, followed by Boom Boom Bowls, Britpop, 171. And 67, again, the sailor with no name that I got to look up on the cheat sheet. There's Sean Grindy Down Fiddler looking to do some grinding on somebody. Followed by Mark Gollison in the 5-5 boat. As Jim goes to the outside. Yes, Jim, all or nothing. Jim goes outside. First, the other three boats go to the inside. Let's see if this pays for Boy with a Dream. Boy with a Dream, sending it big on a flyer. Comes back. The cover. I kind of like where Jimmy's looking here. I like his thinking. He had a lot to think about. 7-4, he's getting a little lift. Sailing a little higher than Tony. Tony might be talking to somebody down there, telling him what's up. Not sailing on the wind as well, but Jim might do good. Oh, but sneaky Steve Landau working the inside. Crosses both Tony and Jim. Let's see, Barr stays in second. Inside's working out all right. Barr the 6'4". Oh, but looks like Tony's in second, crossing in front of Barr and tacks on top of him. Now Jim on starboard, showing a little starboard love. Back to Tony. One of Tony's favorite weapons as Jim works his way into third over Barr, maybe. Hard to judge some of these when they're on different tacks, but Barr's coming over the way of the wall, using every inch of the racetrack. Attacking in the shadows. Boom! Coming out hot. Looking to chase down his fellow competitors. We got Gary, Barron, and Dave Ramos trying to get into that fifth position spot. As we go back to Steve, was hanging out in B Fleet for a while for fun. Just coming to hang out with the common folk. Now he's back up in A Fleet as the boys come into the teeny tiny finish line, which makes things tough, but hey, if it wasn't tough, it wouldn't be fun. Baron in the Polaris. Tacks off the wall. Team Britpop coming through.
Coming out, sea room.
Gary and Dave Ramos. And Ramos yelling at Baron, but Baron, that's not a good idea. Baron can't hear you. As Steve makes it across the finish line first. It's like Dr. Jim might get Tony. Dr. Jim gets second? I think so. Way to go, Jim. Even with one more little tack, Tony's going to shoot the line, but I think Jim's got it. Jim in second place, Tony in third. Sounds like a boat on dry land. Texans love their trucks here. You hear their stereo or the exhaust. Nice job, Jim. Battle for 5th could be exciting here. Battle for 5th. Looks like Dave Ramos, Baron Bremer, Gary Boll. Not sure. Looks like Gary got it. Baron has to tack away. Dave stalls. Oh, Dave's gonna kick himself. Mr. Macaluso squeaks through. Dave just makes it across. All right. Hard to call these finishes from here. There he is. Boy with a dream. And second place. Nice job, Jimmy.
Needed that.
Yeah, that's the finish.
Coming back.
Yep. Another A fleet getting near the end of the day. January 18th.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
General recall. Alright, U flag start. Nobody wants to be over early. We get DSQ'd.
1. Start. All clear on that start.
Alright. All the guys tacking on to port quickly. All over the line. Sean Fiddler was down the pin end. I think he did a little bait and switch, and then at the last minute ran all the way up. Started right on the committee boat. So he was trying to sucker the fleet into following him.
Figure out how that cold coordination in the tack was going to work, but Steve snapped it, so that made it easy.
That made it a whole lot easier because we're like, what are we going to do?
Going all the way to the wall. No wind wall, as they call it. A few people decide to check it out themselves.
No, you're fine. Well, you're golden. You're golden.
All right.
Taco 3.
As the A fleet heads upwind. The boat's aim for my feet. I carry Britpop Bowl 171, left side of the course. Steve Landau, Peter Feldman. Tacking up the middle. Steve with a little indecision there in the 1-2 boat. Tack, don't tack, tack. Here's his fourth try. Sean shows him the starboard love. Steve gonna, oh boy, these port tackers, not a lot of pucker going on here, folks. It's a technical sailing term. As they all thread the needle, amazing. Try to get through the fleet. Mr. Macaluso rifling back as they lumber around the mark. Chris, oh boy, gets stuck on the mark. Boy with a dream, stuck on the mark. Not exciting, or not fun when you're a sailor. It's very frustrating. Get the boats going again. Baron and Chris try to get them fired up. Let's check in with our leaders. Peter Feldman in the 4-4 boat. Will Soggy Bilge Van Cleef in the 76 boat. That's Mr. Landau in the 20, the 12 boat. Gary Boll, the 4th position. Sean Fiddler on his hip, the 9-1 boat. the bait and switch start. Tony Gonzalez, 51. Polarin downwind. Then you got Mark Gallison. Another creamy boat. That creamy boat is probably Sean Bradley. The 9.8 boat, 6.4 Bar Bratzer over there. Had a little glimpse of brilliance in a couple races now. Rifle back a little bit, but it's a long race. Let's see, got Dennis Rogers, white Britpop, the 4.3 boat there. Peter Feldman out there. Another quarter leg in front of everybody. As Peter heads to the outside mark. A lot of people have been going inside, but inside's got a little light, so outside might pay. Followed by Mr. Van Cleef. Will in the 7.6 boat, orange hull. Steve Landau in the 1.2. Another orange boat, probably Sean Fiddler. Mark Gallison, orange stripe, 5.5. Green hole, Bar Bratzer, a lot of guys going outside. Good handful going inside too. Let's see how it pays off. I think Peter was around first, and Peter's covering the boys that went to the outside with him. Gary Bowl way to the inside. See where they cross. There's Gary. There's Gary. Gary in the 1.7. Sean Bradley, another white boat, the 4.6. Tack end. Mark Gallison, 5.5 on starboard, coming right at me. Gary seeing if he can get back in touch with Peter. Hope for a little lift. Looks like he closed some gap, but not enough to get in the lead. But close it quite a bit, maybe 10 boat lengths. As we head upwind, we got Peter Feldman, 4.4, black viz, dark helmet out front. Will Van Cleef, soggy bilge. Still managing to work upwind. Mr. Steve Landau on the 1.2 boat, looking for the knockout. As we
Almost, Gary.
come up the second time, Sean, grinder Fiddler, doing some grinding on Gary. Gonna wear him down. Steve and Sean head upwind. Top 5, Mark Gallison in there, number 6.
Starboard 98. Starboard 98.
Competing at the highest level, throwing a few jokes in, and a sailing lesson or two to your competitors. As Peter and Will battle it out for first and second. Looks like Peter's going to cross on port. Will looks a little low to my blind eyes. Will's going to have to throw a little tack in there. A little ticky-tack to make it around. As Peter makes it around first, Will makes it around second. Gary Bowl in third. Steve Landau in fourth. Sean grind him out, Fiddler. Trying to squeak around that windward mark. As Peter heads downwind, still in first. Will's not going to let him run away with it. Going to make him work for it. Then we get back to Sean and Gary playing the grind game. Well, there's a gaggle of 4. Steve Landau, the 1.2, Mark Gallison, 5.5, Gary Bowl, 1.71. What do we got? Georgia versus California versus Idaho versus Michigan. Who would have known? As that's your top 6. 7th place, Mr. Ramos in the 105. 7th, probably Sean Bradley, maybe Bar Bratzer, maybe Tony Gonzalez. Tony in the 5-1, Bar in the 6-4. Sean in the 4-6, just to keep my dyslexia in check. Head back up, check in on Peter. Well, I'm not sure if Peter's popping the champagne yet, because he just can't seem to shake Will. Will is like a bad cold, just keeps hanging on, keep lingering. Lingering along, lumbering along here on a beautiful day at Corpus Christi. Finally a full day of sailing. Thursday, Friday were not the greatest. Tough on the sailors, tough on the race committee. Today's been pretty much no fuss. Almost set it and forget it for it. Course, few little adjustments, but nothing like we went through in the early days. Peter Feldman on the outside first. Will, indecision, Van Cleef says, should I go inside, outside, inside, outside? Goes outside. Chases buddy Peter upwind. Mark Gollison going to the inside. Where is he? There he is. In third, I don't know. Sean Fiddler. So the orange boats are sticking together on the outside. Sean in the 9-1. Steve Landau in the 1-2. 1-2 knockout. But Peter number 44. If he was number 42, I could call him Richard Petty, but he's not. He's number 44. But only us old sailors are old enough to know who Richard Petty is. Famous stock car NASCAR driver, champion on the racetrack. Peter's champion on the water. Will is still lingering on, just like that nasty cough as we slog upwind. Well, we got some shenanigans over here. We got Mr. Fiddler playing with Mr. Gollison, Sean in the 9-1 boat, Mark in the 5-5, Gary Bull got a case of the slows, but he's pinching. He's taking a. I'm gonna pinch. I'm gonna go high. Oh my God, Gary's sailing as high as a brick cop can sail. He's gonna gut it out. He's committed. He's committed to the pinch. Committed to the pinch until he's not. He's crossing right behind his buddy, Mr. Mark Gollison. I'm gonna check in on Peter. Peter still leading the parade. Steve Landau did the grind treatment on Mr. Van Cleef. Now Steve looks like he wore down Will. Now the true grinder, Sean Fiddler here, just to crush souls, take names, is out there in the other orange boat, 9-1. Mark comes over the wall. Mark's been enjoying the wall all day long. Love crossing those finish lines on port. See how these short start line or short finish line really congests everybody together. It can really be a train wreck if you're in traffic. So Peter says, I don't want any of that. I'm going to go across the line all by myself on any dang tack I want to for first place. Nice job, Peter, in the 4-4. Did Landau, oh boy. Landau on starboard. Ulf snuck in there. Landau. I don't know who won this one. That was all close there at the end. Between Steve, Ulf, Will, Tony. Gary Bull got in there. Really crushes everybody together tight. We're getting better, actually. We're managing to figure it out. As everybody lumbers on in. Nice race by Peter. Peter's even going to beat you back to the pits. Beat you on the race course. There's a big boat getting ready to come about. .20 last A fleet race of the day, Saturday, January 18th, 2025.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, we're live, Jennifer. You can't talk any more crap.
We have a U flag up.
Yep.
4, 3, 2, 1.
There we go.
Dan, keep it down. You're disturbing the sailors.
Mr. I know. I'm such a distraction sitting down here on my little wall. But looks like Mark Dawson chose to start at the boat end, which he never does. He always likes the middle of the line, but just to make a liar out of me, he's
Pretty good so far.
squirted out front. We got Sean grind him down fiddler, preparing something by going outside to serve up a dish of starboard love to the rest of the fleet. As everybody else stays on starboard a little longer, tacking on the wall. Hopefully they won't get stuck on my feet. Mr. Bull comes for a flyby in the Britpop 171.
Starboard.
As we head back out. Larry disturbing competitors.
My ass got in the way.
He's now disqualified from the heat. Illegal tripping.
I don't think that's a proper hail. I had nowhere to go.
Well, the East Coast guys sail to their own rule book, Larry.
Oh,
But so far, pretty clean. Yeah, we've had some kerfluffles, but for the most part, for these big fleets, treacherous finish line, which funnels everybody on top of each other. As we head up to the windward mark for the first time, who's going to get there first?
Tacker can sneak in there.
Mr. Landau, maybe? Who's that in the 6-7 boat? Is that Reichard?
Somebody just laid all over the mark.
Yeah, he's doing his turn.
Between the marks, that's impressive.
Yeah. Steve Landau squirts out front. What happened to Mark? Oh my gosh.
Fouled somebody. I don't know what happened.
Well, everybody likes a challenge. Let's see if he can fight his way back.
So it's the bar Tony race. The first.
Yeah.
Those two are match racing.
It's Steve Landau out front in the 1-2. Looks like Barr might be in second in the 6-4. Just passed by Tony in the 5-1. Peter Feldman in the Black Viz in the 44. Knocking at the door. And Ulf, 3D printed boat. Everybody loves a 3D printer in model sailing. Ulf just loves it more. Everybody else lining up for a leisurely stroll downwind. What say you, Jennifer Galson? Did you solve any world problems today? No? No world problem solved? I guess we'll have to do that at dinner then. Solve some world problems. Well, looks like Steve windward mark first. Makes it to the leeward gate first. Going to the outside. Oh, inside, outside, inside, outside, inside. All right, outside. He lets Tony sneak ahead of him. 5-1 boat.
Oh, Tony
Text, he totally missed it, hit the mark. When he just did a circle.
What?
Someone missed it.
All right, we got Steve still leading the parade. Peter 4-4 right behind him. Tony, even after his circle, still there right behind Peter. 5-1 boat. Who's that? 6-7. Who's that? Reichard? Or the sailor with no name, as I like to call them when I don't know their names. I know, it's shocking. Every once in a while they sneak in there on me. Let's study my cheat sheet more. What do we got Sneaky Sean Fiddler doing over here? Just trying to get out of everybody's purview. Wasn't he way on the outside earlier? Now he's way on the inside. What kind of plan is he hatching? Got Ulf, the 112. Sean Bradley in the 4-6 boat. Dr. Jimmy Sears, boy with a dream and a borrowed bought blue boat. Powering up on port. Getting back in the mix. Wants to finish the day on a high note. Jim got a second place finish in one of the races. He was pretty happy about that in A Fleet. As everybody converges at the weather mark. It's crazy how that happens. I guess you all have to sail the same race course. Steve Landau still out front in the 1-2 boat. Drove in the carpool here with Tony Gonzalez. I'm sure there's a lot of chatting going on. Mark Dollison in the 5-5 boat comes over the wall. Got a nice ley line on port to the windward mark. Windward mark for Mark. Is that redundant? That's the duck, the 1-5 boat. Mr. Mike Fellman. As Steve eyeballs the windward mark on port. Peter coming in on starboard. He's a little low. All the leaders like coming in here on port. But when you got nobody in front of you, it works. Steve tacks first, trying to lead this one wire to wire. Mr. Barbratzer in the 6-4 boat right behind him. As they take their last turn downwind. But Ulf snuck into third, the 1-1-2 boat, the Alioth. And there's Mr. Fiddler, shockingly. Trying to get his jib to cooperate. Finally does. So he heads downwind with his Michigan buddy Peter. Buddies on land, arch rivals on the race course. Let's see what else we got back here in 2, 4, 5, 6th place. We've got Jim Sears in the 74 boat. 7th place, Sean Bradley. 8th place, Tony Gonzalez. 5-1 Polaris. Followed by a green boat of unknown lineage. I think that's Reichard. As the skippers eyeball those gates, pretty wide gate, I gotta say. It's not a Freddie gate. Freddie likes to put them close together so we smash into each other. This one's looking pretty wide. You drive a lot of stuff through there. Maybe a tugboat, garbage truck, a couple minivans, or manivans, as they like to call them for me. Mr. Landau trying to go wire to wire. First to windward, first to leeward, first to windward, first to leeward. Let's see if he's first to the finish line, because that's all that matters. Steve did read my racing book. The only thing I know is to cover, cover, and cover when you're in the lead. Of course, nobody's told me how to get in the lead yet. Close held secret in the fleet. Probably got to pay up some money. We got some boats coming the inside. Bar making some gains, maybe. Maybe really close to crossing Peter. Where'd Bar go? I lost him in my viewfinder. There's Bar. Oh, Bar side's attack. As the sun goes down, wind's dying a little bit. Macho RC sailors' thumbs are getting tired. Jennifer, you are tough today. I can't get you to crack. Can't get
Sorry, I was letting you ramble.
I can't get a giggle out of you.
Somebody's disabled down there.
What's that?
Somebody's disabled.
Oh, somebody's sailing off into oblivion. Yeah, they probably wanted a new boat anyways.
I'm really been impressed with both speed.
Yeah. Wolf's doing well. Got Peter. Looks like Peter. I don't know. Peter's a little higher than Steve there. Little pointing match. Pointing on port. Peter's new book. That's
But there's
Steve.
a little more breeze on that outside right now.
It is. It is a little sheltered here on the inside. I concur. There's Mr. Landau, still out front in the 1-2 boat.
Go ahead, Alf. Go ahead.
None of us can follow directions well. As Steve looks like he's going to win the last race of the day here. In a 1-2 boat, coming in on port. You got Peter over here in the black Viz. I have no idea what a Viz is, but the Croatians decided to name a boat the Viz. Not to be confused with the Wiz, a Broadway musical. Looks like Ulf gets third. Maybe Tony in fourth. Bar in fifth. Sean in sixth. I lost count. Sean Bradley. As the rest of the fleet lumbers in. Who's that yelling?
Sounded like Gary.
It did. I don't see Gary out. Oh, there's Gary. Yeah. All right, we're done. See you tomorrow.
Joe, I was